Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Cryptoware. Welcome to yet another video on deobfuscation. And today we are going to deobfuscate another simple sample. Yes, the sample is quite simple. And here we are going to deobfuscate it and understand what it is trying to do. As I have previously mentioned, that it is not important for us and not always possible for us to decode each and every line, but we try to deobfuscate the part to an extent so that we can identify the malicious behavior. And the later part, the dynamic analysis, is always there that we uh, perform after a proper static analysis. So today we have an HTML file, and if we scroll down, we can see that some code is mentioned over here, and we can understand that this is the main code that we need to look for. And first things first, we are copying this file onto another tab, and we will not make any changes in the original file, and we'll try to make this sample look less messy. So we'll just remove these comments just to make it short and crisp. And yes, we are done. The sample looks very short. Now, few things that we need to identify before performing any other deobfuscation or any decoding technique is usage of window.location.href. So most probably it is trying to make use of any URL. So we can always check in the Google. So whenever you're performing malware analysis or any kind of research, it's always important to identify what kind of function is being used. If we are seeing there is a function, you can either identify it by yourself or you can always use Google for that, and it's no harm. So as you can see from here, it is trying to make use of some URL. You can always check from any website, like what kind of URL, how does it use. So it returns the URL of the current page, most probably. So we have guessed, we have identified that there is some usage of URL. Very basic thing. Next is usage of ms-msdt. So most probably it is using this for URL or for maybe connection. We can always check that as well. It says that it is deprecated. We can check is a legacy service in Windows that allows technical support to analyze diagnostic data remotely for troubleshooting purposes. This is something which is very important for us to understand. So here I am analyzing this file as if when you are not aware of what it is actually doing. So I give two examples. The later we can normally discuss, but you can always Google what it actually means. So it is making use of URL. This is used for remote troubleshooting purposes that it is being used. For now, we are just trying to understand a crisp meaning of what it is happening over here. This is used for device health. Let's move ahead and see what else can we see. There is invoke expression, system.text.encoding, char 5858 is used, utf.getString is used. Again, there is char 58. Again, base 64 to string. So, few things that we have to identify while deobfuscating is understand which part we have to focus on first. Since we have a very small piece of code, so we can be pretty sure that this base 64 encoded part is the one that we need to look for. You don't need to decode each and everything. You can always go through, even if we were not trying to look for all these things, they may not have been that important for now, but they are important because they are being used. But for now, understanding the base 64 part is more important, more relevant. That's what I mean. Again, we can see what else is there. So you can see that it is trying to invoke or maybe execute or to system32 directory where it has this executable. Why double dot slash is used? So if you have used terminal or command line before, we use this double dot slash to go back to our previous directory. So it has used this multiple times so that we can reach to the root folder or the very first folder, and then we can move to Windows System 32 and then maybe invoke or execute this. So let's see what char 58 means first, whether it is relevant for us at this point of time or not. So char 58 here means colon. If you want, you can replace this part as well with double colon. We have char 34, which is used over here. So char 34 is double quotes. If you want, you can replace it as well. Also here we can see char 34 is used. So we can remove the plus from here. The aim is not to write the script perfectly, correctly. We are not trying to do that. What we are trying to achieve is understand what it is trying to do. So here is the base 64 encoded part. Let's simply decode it and see what it does. You can use any online tool, you can use any offline tool. Make sure the online tool or the publicly available tools that you're using should not compromise any confidential information of yours. So you have to always make sure that you're taking care of that. And another thing, that even if you're performing static analysis, make sure that you are using sandboxed environment or a virtual environment. Even though we are not executing anything, but it is the best practice that one should always follow while performing such malware analysis. So we'll simply copy paste it over here, and let's just, yeah, we'll simply keep it away from the above, or the rest of the script, because this is the main script that we need to understand. Here we have already understood that it is using or invoking some exe file. This is the PowerShell command. So what it is trying to do is it is invoking command cmd.exe, the command line utility of Windows. It is using start process cmd. Windows style is hidden. Let's get to the main part. What is there in the argument? So it is using task kill msdt.exe. So it is trying to kill msdt.exe. Again, we can look for what is actually msdt.exe. We have already seen ms-msdt. So maybe it is trying to stop some process which is msdt.exe, which maybe is related to some connection remotely. We are not sure of it. Let's see what else is happening. Next is it is using cd command. So it is changing its directory to users public, and here it is slash r temp I, and in, I'm not able to pronounce the ones correctly. So what it is actually doing, it has changed its directory to public, user slash public, and it is looking for this .rar file in the temp directory, okay, which is here only within user slash public, and then it is copying it to 1.r. This is just a slight gist of it. The way I showed you how you can always Google such things if you're not having any idea, you can always Google these things also, and they are also very useful and it's totally fine. We do not need to know each and everything, but with experience, you get an idea of it. So here it is copying this file to 1.r, and then it is looking for this string in 1.r and redirecting it to 1.t. So basically it is looking for this string and it most probably looks like it is looking for a base 64 encoded embedded PE file, but we are not sure of it. That is just a wild guess of mine. With time, when you keep analyzing a lot of files, you start getting an idea of it. Again, it is using cert util decode. So whatever detail was redirected, output was redirected to 1.t, is getting decoded, and it is getting stored in 1.c. So till here, we can see that what it is trying to do is it is copying. So there is already this rar file which is copied to one.rar file, from where they are identifying a string which is again getting redirected to another file, and which is again getting decoded to another file, and then they are expanding it, and later they are trying to make some execution and some invocation. So what it is actually trying to do is it terminates the process, and it is performing a lot of manipulation by copying, decoding, and tries to execute this file, which is this mssig stub.exe. That is the final thing that it is trying to do. So, most probably, this can be considered as some other stage or next step of an attack chain, where the first chain was downloading or loading this file into the machine. So, this was just a crisp description of what it is trying to do. We do not have to get into too much detail. From here, we have understood that it is trying to do some execution of an executable. So even if you're not able to identify completely, but we are still able to understand that it is trying to perform some malicious activity over here. And if you want, and if we want to also talk about, this is what I think I have missed, is this one.c is most probably, now this command is mostly used to decompress 1.1.c, and then if it is decompressed successfully, it is executing the file. Now, since I'm also having only this sample, this part, so I cannot actually explain that how are they actually executing this. We need some more information, or maybe if we perform dynamic analysis, we'll get an idea of it. But even for performing dynamic analysis, we need to have this rar file, or maybe it is getting downloaded. But for now, we have identified the suspicious behavior, and it's totally fine for now as beginners to identify the basic and most relevant malicious activity, because with time we will be performing a lot of analysis, which will include, of course, dynamic analysis. We have already started doing that. Then later on we'll go ahead with debugging, disassembling. We'll also perform some injection techniques. We'll also try to understand all those things. We will do some unpacking, which will be manual unpacking using debugger instead of existing tools that we have already used before. So we'll be performing all those things. For now, we are just deobfuscating the sample, identifying just a small gist of what it is trying to do, and also we'll be moving ahead with some more complex samples. Okay. Okay, so that's it for today's video. We will be moving ahead with more complex samples too, so stay tuned. And please like, share, and subscribe to my channel CryptoWare, and see you in the next video. Thank you so much.